Hello, I'm Fearne Cotton, and this is Happy Place, the podcast that delves into the lives of others, sees what makes them tick, and how they overcome those stressful times. Over the next few weeks, I'll be visiting the happy places of so many amazing people in order to find out what makes them happy. And what a first pair of guests I have for you. It's Tom Daly and his husband Dustin Lance Black talking all about their beautiful news that they're about to become parents.
I had no idea what to expect going into that scan. I remember feeling quite nervous, but excited about what was going to happen.
And you may even hear a little bit of an exclusive as well. What a way to kick off the series. But first, a huge thank you to the sponsors of this show, Garnier. I'm a massive fan of Garnier's products, and you might be too, but you might not be aware that they have a brilliant initiative, Commit to Care, which they're doing in order to become a more ethical and sustainable company. They're helping over 300,000 children living in emergency situations to play, learn, and receive basic healthcare in safety. It's doing this right now in partnership with UNICEF. You can find out more at Garnier's website, garnier.co.uk/committocare, or using the hashtag #CommitToCare. And now, here's the show. Today I'm off to meet a couple who are lovely. They are leading figures in their respective careers, and they're about to embark on a very personal and exciting journey. They're about to become parents. I'm talking about Tom Daly and his husband Dustin Lance Black. There's been some brilliant, well-wishing, gorgeous response to their news, but also some rather ridiculous and archaic opinions thrown about as well. So it's their chance to talk about this today, and for me to find out a bit more about their own happy place in regards to this really special and exciting news. So let's go and knock on the front door and get a cup of tea. Hello.
Nice temperamental buzzer. I'm good, how are you? Come on in.
Hi, Tom and Lance.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for welcoming me into your absolutely beautiful home.
You know, you're very welcome anytime.
On a very nice evening as well.
I know, the sun is setting, it's nice and colourful in the sky.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
First up, congratulations on your beautiful news.
Yay, thank you very much.
Thank you
Is
very
it still
much.
slightly sort of sinking in?
No. I mean, for us, it's not really news. It's been...
Trying not to say anything about it, because when you know that you're becoming parents, you just want to shout about it, because it's one of those feelings like I've never ever felt ever before in my life, and it's been it's been a long process, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no accidental children in this world. There's no glass of wine, good night, and then a baby 9 months later. So this has been like, I mean, off and on, 2.5 years.
Since 2015.
Yeah.
Was that the first time you had talked about it, or when you actually started actively getting into the process?
That was actively getting into the process.
So you've been talking about this for way longer.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure.
We had the names for our children within a week of knowing each other.
Yeah.
We knew from the beginning we wanted a family, right?
Yeah. I mean, we broke like every first rule date there is. I think we talked about marriage, for sure, and then named our children. I mean, if we weren't both into it, it would have been very, very creepy. Like, it would have been the creepiest
Looking
bike
back
ride
on it
of
now,
all time.
I'm like, oh my goodness.
But when you know, you know.
But we've
Yeah.
settled on the name. We're using, the name that we decided on.
Are you?
then.
You've stuck with it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gorgeous. So lovely.
I know.
So you've chosen the route of surrogacy.
Yes.
Why was that the right option for you?
Because try as we did and have, we just couldn't get pregnant on our own. And I mean, every effort was made. Let
I'm
me tell
sure.
you. I mean, we can both speak to this. Because we have long debated how we'd build our family. I think part of it flows from, and you have to excuse me if I get a little emotional during this. Not only is it an emotional subject, but I just got off a red-eye flight from Los Angeles.
We'll forgive you.
Both of us have lost our family members, parents, at an early age. I think that teaches you from a very early age that there's a connection to the past and to your future when it comes to family, that children can help connect to that. And there was just something for both of us where we felt deeply that we'd like to complete that connection first when creating our family, and to have a biological connection to our past, to bring that into our present and to let that grow into the future, at least at first, for the first couple. And then, I've said many times that I would like to look into adoption in the future, but that has its challenges as well. I mean, that's not an easy process for LGBT people in the world right now. So you have to know that you're strong enough to bear the hurdles there. God knows I've watched my best friend in the world has tried with his husband for years now, and twice had a child come into the home and had that child taken away because a blood relative of that child found out that a gay couple had adopted the child and decided that wasn't okay with them and took the child back. And that's an all too common story in a nation that's very accepting of gay adoption. So you have to make sure you're up for that.
Yeah.
So it's, I think our gut said surrogacy would be the first way to go. But even then, I mean, that's a heck of a process. And
Of course it is. Of course,
Yeah.
on every level, emotionally and time wise for you, and investigating what that's going to be like. How has that process played out for you, and what has it been like?
I mean, I had no idea how surrogacy worked.
Yeah.
Like, I was very much, just assumed that it was the person that was having the baby, it was going to be their eggs used, and that was just how it was. And we did so much research into how it was going to work, and we went in for our first meeting where they explained it all. And I remember just being completely blown away to think that, when I came out and when I told my mum and when I told the rest of my family that I was in love with Lance and we were together, the first thing that always worried me was that I was never going to be able to have children. The thought of not being able to have children, it made me really sad, and it made me think, like, what am I going to do? Like, I've always wanted a family. So that's when we started looking into surrogacy, and we were explained how the whole process worked in terms of finding an egg donor and then finding a surrogate. And this process, like, it has taken us years to get to a point where we have a surrogate, because to go down the route of surrogacy, you have to really, really, really want a child.
Of course.
And we've never been so sure about anything in our whole entire lives to start a family.
And what's your relationship then with the surrogate that you're working with and that you're using?
One of the things, I'm not going to lie, I've read a couple of the tweets, and there's some big misconceptions out there about what this process is. I've never heard of someone who does not know their surrogate and doesn't know them well. I mean, a part of the process is either choosing someone who you know and love, who you trust to do this, who you have that relationship with, which is a loving familial relationship that doesn't end when the pregnancy is over, or you have to build one like that. And without exception, the folks I know who may have met their surrogate in the process, which is a year-long or years-long process, end up with a very close relationship with their surrogate. The women who are willing to do this and to give this gift to both gay and straight couples who can't on their own have children, there is a love and a warmth and a generosity and a kindness that's difficult not to fall in love with.
Of course.
Right? And we certainly have that with ours. And we do love her very much. I don't want to give too many details because she has asked not to be named publicly. We need to respect that, and I hope the press will respect that that's her wish. But you get, they become family. And I've never heard of a case that wasn't like that. But this is a person who we love and are incredibly,
She's so lovely.
We're incredibly grateful for.
So once you've had the baby, what would her relationship be within your family setup? Would she be classed as a friend, as a family member, as a special someone to you all? How would that play out?
I think for us, when we've talked about it in the past, we've always said that we'd be very open and honest with our child, because if they ask questions and they want to know how they came into this world, then you just have to be very clear and share the experiences that we've had. I mean, I've been writing down a diary of every single step that we've gone through so that I can explain it to our child. But once the child is born, it's up to the parents how much or how little the surrogate stays involved. But for us, we love her so much that I can't imagine not, saying anything or not actually ever seeing her again, because we want her to be part of the journey of the kids growing up too.
I mean, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because it's biologically, genetically, the surrogate has no connection, because you are using the father's sperm or a sperm donor, depending on the situation, or an egg donor, and then she carries this child.
There's been all sorts of opinions about what you're doing in articles written, and some people will bat about the word mother in regards to your surrogate. Is that appropriate? How do you see that?
No, it's not appropriate.
No.
She doesn't, technically and scientifically, she does not have any genetic
There's no
tie
biological
to...
connection, but also, what is a mother? I mean, I was raised by a stepfather. He had no genetic relation to me. He was more of a father to me than my biological father ever was. What is a mother and a father? I think they're the people who decide they're going to dedicate their lives to raising you as best they can. And that's not always the person who has that blood relation, who even gave birth, sadly. In this case, we've entered into this knowing full well what everyone's role is, and we will be this child's fathers.
Have a very loving and loved and cared for home, which I think is the most important thing above all else, is showing how much you love a child and how much you do anything for them and care for them and support them in anything that they choose to do.
And if we called her up and said, would you be a mother to this child, she would think we were nuts.
Of course.
She's like, no.
Didn't sign up for that.
Yeah, we were very clear about what this was. That's not what this is.
Yeah.
It's not that anyone can just do this either. Whether it's an egg donation or a surrogate, they go through rigorous counseling and treatment.
How do you stay focused on this excitement and that love and not get sidetracked? Lance, you said a moment ago, you have seen tweets, and some of them will be of an archaic and slightly ridiculous nature. How do you stay focused on just that happiness and joy and not worry about other people's opinions?
I mean, it's difficult because you see stuff online, and we know that we have wanted a kid more than anything in the world ever since I can remember. Growing up, like, the thought of having a kid was the most exciting thing in the world to me. And especially going down...
He has an entire drawer downstairs filled with baby clothes.
This is
That we've had for
by the way,
years.
that he's been collecting since we met.
And before, like, I've always, like, that for me, coming out, as I said before, was one of the most difficult things to get my head around, is about making a family and having children. And I think there's lots of people in the world that don't necessarily want a child, but they end up having a child. And for us, wanting kids so badly and being, like, there's so much love that we've been brought together and brought closer than ever before, because to think that we are expanding our family is like one of the most exciting things. And when people, judge about us using a surrogate and all that kind of stuff, but there are lots of people in this world that can't have kids, whether it's due to like fertility issues or health issues, whatever it may be. And I don't think there would be as much drama as if it was a straight couple. Take Kim Kardashian, for example. She used a surrogate for her latest child, and there wasn't any issue with it. So for us, there is a element of difference in the way that we've been treated in terms of having a surrogate.
I do find it really shocking, and I'm not easily shocked. I mean, I've been in the LGBT rights battle for a long time now, and faced a lot of discrimination. I mean, I grew up in the South, Mormon, Texan. It hasn't been an easy path. And I've gotten quite used to that. I enjoy the conversations. I enjoy trying to correct the record. I generally know, like, when there's going to be some friction. If I walk into, a church in the South with Tom, I think there's probably going to be a conversation to be had. Usually it goes quite well, by the way. I think you look people in the eye and they see it for what it is, and quickly the fear turns into understanding, which can even turn into love. I was shocked to have this response. to us having a child.
So why do you
because
think
it's not
it
a
is?
new
I know. Why? Because, you're really right in saying that, Tom, that you have been treated very differently to someone like Kim Kardashian and other heterosexual couples that will have gone down this route. So why do you think people are so quick to judge, and why do they feel the need to have that say?
I think especially with Kim Kardashian, people almost felt sorry for her for the fact that, oh no, like, she's not able to have a child because of health reasons. How lovely it is that a surrogate has been willing to do that. But then for every other gay couple that is not able to have a child, but desperately would love to bring up a child, just like any heterosexual couple, we have been treated quite differently.
I wish I could just go finish the bookcases that I'm building our child downstairs right now. But there's a little moment I think we have to step out of the bliss and be vigilant and correct the record and let people know what this really is. Because it won't be the last gasp if we're not vigilant about it, if we don't correct the record, if we don't inform people who are misinformed. And that's the best I think we can do.
For what it's worth, me saying my bit, I have looked at bits and bobs that's been written about you guys, and there is a heap of brilliant, gorgeous stuff. But the people that I think don't look into what's really going on and will make very quick assumptions about, well, where's the mother figure? I think, again, don't you just have to get back to the fact that you're two loving parents? And just to say there's a heterosexual couple that have had a kid doesn't mean that's going to work out and that's going to be the perfect family setup. And I think people's focus is completely off on that one. What are your thoughts on it, Lance?
I've always been so curious about it, because I'll tell you, during the marriage equality debate in the United States, which I was really involved in, we had to go to a trial. And both sides, pro LGBT families and against, had to come into court and testify under oath, share the science. And the science was overwhelming that, in fact, gay and lesbian parents, because of the rigorous screening we have to go through and testing we have to go through, and that we don't have accidental children, outstrip straight parents in terms of how the child performs. It's just science. And it's not because we're even better parents. It's just because there's not many accidents running around, right? That we can, as two people of the same gender, raise a child. And in fact, what's really helpful is having more than one in the home, so that you can, like with us, I plan on taking a good long time off, and I'm getting a lot of work done between now and our due date so that he can continue to train and the child can have the attention. So it left me really curious, and I did it about, what is this coming from? What is the fear? What is the idea? What if some people think that the child's going to be missing? And so I actually sat down to coffee with Maggie Gallagher, which would be news in the United States to hear that. Maggie Gallagher led the case against marriage equality in the United States. And she reached out to me and said, would you have coffee with me when you're in New York? And the case is well settled now, marriage equality across the United States. It's what I like to do with people who don't agree with me, is you sit down and you have a lovely little chat, and you might find out where the disagreement lies.
Yes.
And with her, she was really surprised to learn that I have a lot of women in my life.
Why was that surprising to her?
Well, because I guess that's been her experience,
right,
or her perception. I'd have to ask her again. I think that would only be fair. But that gay men mostly just hang out with men and not many women, and that perhaps lesbians hang out mostly with just women and no men, and that if you have a child in that environment, they're not going to be exposed to people of a different gender, a different perspective, which is valuable. And so I had to sit and tell her, I was like, you do know, like, almost every single person in my life except Tom is a woman. Like, from agents to managers to business managers, they run my world. There are a lot of women in our lives, and certainly it'll be the same for our child's life. That influence will be there. Because I do think there is something very special about mothering. And that will be there for our child in ample ways. Because gay men don't just hang out with gay men. And lesbians don't just hang out with lesbians. And that was eye-opening for her. She was genuinely surprised. And I think perhaps, it's hard for me to understand that she had that perception, but I think perhaps some people who are making these comments and saying these things might also have that same perception.
It's a very good
And maybe
point.
it's, if I had that, if that was true, I'd be like, well, that kid is getting cheated. And I think a woman's perspective is incredibly valuable.
It's true of any kid, isn't it? You want that child to grow up with so many interesting and well-informed people that can help guide them. And it isn't, it's like that kind of, the village raises the child. It's not just the parents, it's your community, it's your friends, it's your family. It's so important that emphasis is there. And perhaps in the modern world, we have put less importance on that. And it is just about mum and dad. And actually, it can be a whole different setup. It can be dad, and your family and friends. It can be mum, dad, and all of your girlfriends. It can be aunties, uncles, grandparents. It's
and by
creating
the way,
that.
That's not just the new normal. That's always been the normal.
Yeah.
That is the norm. We all do all we can to raise a child. And it's very, very rare that you can have a mother and a father and everything goes perfectly to plan and they both stay healthy and they both stay in love. We know all too well that even in a family with all the love in the world, you can lose a parent.
Of course.
The norm is you do everything in your power to raise the child right. The people who are helping raise the child, it ends up being hopefully the parents, but also that community of people who support that child.
It has to be. And I think also as parents, you want to know that you can say, can I have help? Can you help me? Even if it is on a good day, I just want some more people involved in this.
Yeah.
I just want, I think most parents feel like that all of the time. You want to expand it and make it feel like a little team that you've created of people that you trust and love.
Exactly.
And that's so important. And undoubtedly, you've got so many people gagging to be chosen to be part of that gang as well.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. So going back to this, and this may change when you become parents, who knows? But currently in your lives, what do you do to unwind, to find your happy place, to get more balanced and grounded in a very exciting yet hectic world that you live in with high pressure careers and now about to start a family?
Yeah, I mean, for me, something that I've always found that helps me get to like a happy and calm place is, well, one is to do yoga. I find yoga to be one of the most, it's one of the best things that I can do for my diving physically in terms of stretching and having the flexibility and all that kind of stuff. But not only that, the calm, and it leaves you feeling so peaceful and you feel you have so much more energy. You feel energized and ready to take on the day if you do. It can be as little as 10 minutes to an hour of yoga where you can just, be with yourself and be able to have that calm perspective. I know that might change with a child and be running like screaming and all that kind of stuff, but having that time I think is really important. But other than that, I love to cook, and cooking gives me that very methodical and gives me the chance to just switch everything off.
Bar the diving, Tom, we're the
Yes.
same person.
Really? Yeah.
I can't dive for shit, but I love yoga and I love cooking. Again, they are places for me where and that doesn't change when you become a parent. I think you just try and do it more.
Yeah,
if you can.
exactly.
I'm going to stress you out more because it means more cooking. I'm just going to stress you out. I'm going to lay little traps.
Yeah.
What about you, Lance? What's your go-to happy place?
Well, it depends where I'm at. So in Los Angeles, I go for hikes, and we go for hikes together. If you can do like a 40-minute to a 1-hour walk, leave your cell phone at home, or you go on a hike where there's no reception, it not only clears my mind, it sort of sparks imagination. Getting out of the house and taking a walk has always been my way of giving myself perspective in my work. So I hope that it also works with family.
Get a baby Bjorn. They're the best things in the world.
You can walk with the baby.
My
Walk with the
husband
baby.
loves the baby Bjorn. Our kids are too big now, but that was his favourite thing ever.
Really?
Because you're so close to the baby too, and the baby snoozes, and you can just get out and about and walk for ages. It's gorgeous.
Definitely gonna
get
have
one.
to
I'll buy you one.
get
It's
that
my gift
involved.
to you guys. It's on.
Yes.
So going back to, this has been a very long process for you, but the more recent picture we've seen of you is holding that dreamy little scan, which for any parent is one of the most
God.
thrilling, exhilarating moments of your life.
Should have
What
seen
was
us in that.
like?
I had no idea what to expect going into that scan. I remember feeling quite nervous, but excited about what was going to happen. But being able to sit there and have our surrogate have this scan happen, and you see where the OB was touching, pressing, and like the baby was moving and like trying, like what's going on, and like just to see your child move, and just to think like, in not very long now, like there's going to be screaming, crying, sleeping, pooping machine,
Yep.
around.
Lots of poo.
Yes, exactly.
What sort of parents do you think you'll be?
Oh, all I can say is that I know that we'll do our absolute best to try and raise our child the way that, our parents raised us, and the fact that, it's surrounded by love and support. And I know Lance didn't necessarily have the same upbringing, but being able to be surrounded by love, and I think that's the most important thing.
Well, I didn't have.
Well, your mum was incredibly loving.
I had the most incredible mom on the planet. I dare anyone to challenge that. And then I had a wonderful stepdad at a certain point. And I felt the difference between a house that was struggling with, I for a time there, both my biological parents, and that was not a happy place. And then once we had a happy home, what a huge difference that made. And, my mom, I learned from my mom. Like, my mom and I would sit on the couch and cry at every, card ad, every commercial, every, anything that was sentimental. We'd weep. I'm going to be the same way. I'm going to be crying at the silliest things. That first poop, I'm going to probably burst into tears and be like, our baby pooed!
But if you're already emotional, when you have kids, my goodness, it ramps it up. It's just bizarre. Yeah, everything is a hugely brilliant emotional moment. It's crazy. You obviously decided to announce your news with that lovely picture of your scan. Do you think you'll continue to, you said earlier you'd like to sort of share the journey so people sort of understand surrogacy and understand what you're going through?
That came from, we saw on Instagram a mother-to-be with her scan.
Yeah, a mother and her husband.
Holding their picture, and the look in their face, and I just shared with Tom, like, oh, maybe we should do that. I mean, you want to share it with the world at a certain point, and why treat it like a secret? And the thing with our wedding, we were a little secretive because we didn't want to have people showing up who we didn't know. I mean, that our food budget would have gone through the roof.
Yeah, I get that.
But with this, I don't think there's anything to hide, and so we're just, at every step of the way, we just remind ourselves, hey, let's just do this what our gut says, how we would do it if, the papers didn't want to talk about Tom. And so that was one that our gut said, hey, let's share this. Let's share it.
Going on to work, you are both insanely busy and insanely successful in your chosen fields. How do you think your routine and lifestyle will change once you are parents, and how do you plan to kind of make it all fit and work?
I mean, everything's going to change. Every parent that I've spoken to has always you're not ready for the lack of sleep. You're just not ready.
I prepared last night.
You did. The jet lag
I've got
helped.
1 hour.
Yeah, Lance is good at flying and not sleeping, so... Yeah. We don't know how that's going to be. And I don't think any parent can tell what's going to happen until it happens. I'm going to be ready to, take some time to away from diving to be able to, have the first, I guess you could say, paternity leave, to be able to really bond with our child. And we're very lucky in the fact that Lance works from home. So he's able to... able to be around the child a lot. And then, I'm only just down the road at the aquatic centre, so I'll be able to leave, come back, and, I guess we just figure it out. You don't really know until
because you're training for the 2020 Olympics now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the training never stops. We go in 4-year cycles. We train day in, day out, and work as hard as we can for that one moment every 4 years, which is why now watching the Winter Olympics, it's so... it got everything going through me. It's like, oh my goodness, they've trained so hard for this one moment, and I feel every single thing that they're feeling. But lots of parents within the sport of diving that I know, like for example David Badaya and other parents and Victor Minibayev, they're a couple of divers that have got kids, and their diving massively improved.
Really?
Because they said that their focus day in, day out wasn't just about diving. It's not like you come home, think about diving, you eat diving, sleep, and all you're dreaming about is diving. When you got a big distraction like a child on your hands, you're able to, almost like the training is the escape part, and you're able to stand there and focus on what you need to do. And then when you get home, it's crazy chaotic again. You're not able to have that mentally draining experience of just thinking about your sport all the time. So, I mean, who knows if it will go that way, but... We will see.
Yeah, you just make it work, don't you?
Yeah.
And you know, as you say, no parent goes into this knowing how they're going to feel, what's going to happen. Everyone's winging it.
Exactly.
Everyone's winging it
Yeah.
every single day, because it's the unknown, isn't it? Just unfolding within each second. And that is exciting / nerve-wracking. What is the overriding emotion right now as you sort of end the surrogacy part of the journey?
I'm slightly nervous about the birth situation, just because I think I've watched too much One Born Every Minute.
The worst idea before you have a baby.
And I don't know. I think that is the scary part, but then at the same time, it's so exciting to think, you know, all we've been doing is going around like shopping and looking for, you know, things that we can get our baby. And I think right now it's just pure excitement and
preparation.
And preparation.
A lot of preparation.
What's that been? Books, or just getting the nursery ready, or what's been that process?
Yeah, the nursery ready. And we were both raised in a way where our families, built everything themselves. And so, like, if you look in the room now, I remember as a little kid going up to the bookshelves and the bed and realizing, oh, my mom did this. She varnished this and stained it, and you could see the drip marks, and that it was meaningful. Like, I loved that. I was like, my mom loves me. And I can tell because it's not quite perfect, that bookcase. And so that's what I've been doing downstairs, is building the nursery, like not just assembling the nursery. And so that to me is an important thing and a place to put my nervous energy. You know, and then asking a lot of questions. I mean, one of the nice parts about having a surrogate is she, and if it's not giving too much away, she knows what it is to have a child and has kind of helped us through it. And she's been there for us in a really loving and supportive way. So it's answered a lot of those questions. I mean, I'm looking forward to it, kind of maybe in the same way as diving. Like, every filmmaker I know who has kids makes better movies. And I think part of that is your central focus is no longer fiction. It's really real. And I'm so eager to have my eyes opened in the way that the filmmakers who admire have their eyes opened. I want to be in that club, and I think that it takes the focus off of self, which is really wonderful, particularly for an artist. And then I also have started to relive so many of my own childhood memories already. Like, already I keep thinking back to my mom and going, how did she trick us all into being her servants? Like those lists of chores, right? And she was and I was like, I completely fell for it. I remember the list of chores, and there were the things I would do, and there was the things my big brother could do. And she was like, when you're 8 years old, you'll get to vacuum. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to be 8. I'll get to vacuum. I can vacuum.
With my kids.
Yeah.
No, it completely worked.
That's
and I was
genius.
like, what was she doing in that time? A little hot cocoa on the back porch.
I love that. What a fabulous idea. Have you been absolutely bombarded with advice from other parents? Because that can be a good thing, but it can be quite overwhelming to sort of try and distill what bits you actually need and what bits are just people's nostalgia being thrown at you.
I think lots of people throw stuff at you, and I think when people talk to you about a child, they often remember the best parts and also the worst parts, and not just the everyday stuff. So it is interesting to hear lots of people's different opinions and what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and then other people have completely contradictory opinions, and it's kind of like, and then every conversation always ends with, but you'll figure it out, and every child's different. So it's like, you can read as many books as you like, think that you prepared and you know everything, and then there's going to be something that's going to make it completely different to what you thought was going to happen. So
we've also been around, a lot of kids in our time. Like, it's not like like your cousin just had a baby and she's been around a lot, and I've grew up surrounded by lots of babies and had a little brother, and so we sort of know, like, the practical, just how do you do certain things we've done.
But it's just living full time is, like any first time parent, have no idea what that's going to be like until we
and we're
get to it.
super lucky to have Tom's mom.
Yeah, my mum is beyond
I
herself
bet
excited.
she is thrilled.
Yes, she was like, when we first told her that we were going to have a child, she, like, again, similar feeling to me. She was so overwhelmed with emotion and so excited about the fact that, you know, she was going to get a grandchild. Was like, she was so
She's going to be
happy.
a granny.
I know. She wants to be called Nana.
Nana.
Yeah.
She's going to love that role. So my mum loves being a granny. It's the best.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
Babysitting, all that jazz.
I know.
Oh,
Wonderful.
Yeah. My mum's going to love
Expand the house. Just
Yeah.
build a
Get a
room.
little annex.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Do you know the sex of the baby?
If people,
You don't have to say yes or no. It's an option.
Yeah, we do.
if people look closely at the post that we did, you'll be able to see it.
Oh, I hadn't looked close enough.
Yeah.
And lots of people have been asking us, but yeah, we're going to have a little boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't think you were going to say that just then. That's really wonderful to hear.
Yes, we're going to have a
Yeah,
little
you
boy.
find out at the scan. Well, you find out because they zoom in on every little body part. And then one of them, they don't call it the biological part, they just have a little arrow that says boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't miss it.
There's a protrusion.
You can't miss it.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
And how
it's-
was that's a big moment. I didn't find out either time with my kids until they were born because we managed to avoid that in the scan somehow. And I'm not sure how, but we did. But when you find out, it is a bit of a game-changing moment. And I'm assuming, because I haven't experienced it like you have, knowing that early on in the situation that you're going to have a boy or a girl. Did it make you think differently about the situation, differently about how you might parent the child, how you might have your family set up work?
I mean, not for me.
We were like, you know, whatever the gender of the child, we were just so excited just to have a child.
I was just convinced, and not for any good rational reason, that it was a girl.
Really?
Yeah. And then, so the news, I was a little shocked. I didn't believe it for a minute. But I also think it's not, can I be, as disappointed as I've been in some of the reaction here in the UK, and it's really around just having a child, I've been really impressed and proud of people not being super obsessed. Of course, people are curious and they want to know, but not super obsessed over the identity of the child based on just their gender. And I was just like, well, that's great. Well, that actually feels like some progress, you know. And it'll be a boy or a girl, and there are, you know, differences there. But it doesn't mean we have to paint the whole house pink or blue.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Well, look, you know, I've got a boy and a girl, and I think once you've sort of experienced that, you don't think about the gender at all. You just hone in on the personality and how different they are. And that sets the tone of everything way more than gender ever could, because it's a little personality that comes into your life. And that's the bit that's changing the energy of the family. And that's the bit that's pushing your boundaries or, you know, making your heart swell with love more than anything. And that's all the unknown and the massively exciting bit that takes time to unfold in your life as well.
Are you going to come help us?
I would love to. Do you know how much I love babies?
Yes.
We should come back and do a podcast in about 2 years and say,
Screaming
let's
baby.
think how it's going. You know what? They obviously do all that sort of thing, scream and poo, whatever.
Yeah.
But as you say, it's about the love, and you're going to become parents, and it's the most exciting thing that you can ever do as a couple. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. And I know there's been one question that lots of people have been asking about who the biological father is. And that's something that we've been very adamant about not knowing and not ever wanting to know, because there are children. And that is the long and short of it.
And we did it in a way where we can not know for as long as we'd like to not know.
Yeah. Well, that's, again, at your discretion. That's the thing I think, again, some people forget is that, you know, this is all new for you, and it's up to you how much information you do offer or how much you choose to withhold. And let's hope that everybody respects that, because this is just a beautiful moment for you both. And
So exciting.
the majority of people are over the moon like I am.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
Thank you so much for your time today and hearing your wonderful news.
Thank
I
you
just
for
wish
coming.
you all the love and luck with this
Oh, it's so
brilliant next
exciting.
chapter of your life.
It's
Thank
so
you.
exciting to be able to talk about it with other people. Like, it's we are so excited. So
You are
Yeah.
one of our first chats outside of our immediate family.
Oh, I'm really
Yeah.
honoured, so thank you. Thank you so
exciting.
much.
no, thank you.
Oh my God, I love them. too much. Adorable, and I'm over the moon for them. Again, congratulations to Tom and Lance. So that's it for episode 1. If you liked it and want to hear all the great people we have lined up, and they are great, you can subscribe for free using a podcast app or on Spotify. And if you think a friend will enjoy this show, tell them. Don't keep it to yourself. Share the love. A massive thanks to Tom and Lance. Thanks to our sponsors, Garnier, and their Commit to Care initiative. To the producer, Matt Hill at Rethink Audio. And of course, to you, lovely people, for listening. I'll see you soon.